getting close to the end of your page there. Social unrest is the next one. You ought to be able to raise your family and community that's safe and united by a common set of Australian values. Family First will take youth crime seriously because your family deserves to feel safe in your local neighbourhood, because there's obviously there's reports of, even in the country areas, in regards to crime rising. We'll support and promote Australian values like the celebration of Australia Day, and we'll fight to ensure that what migrants Australia does take in adopt our values and way of life. So just want to unpack that one, and then we'll do that final one in a minute too. So that's quite a big one. We've just had Australia Day. It's the usual debate about the Australian flag, the usual debate about Australia Day versus Sorry Day, or whatever it is that they want to label it on any given day, or colonialist oppression day. It's good to see a policy like that. Obviously there would be a bit of pushback from others, especially I guess the Greens and maybe even Labor. I was very surprised that some very senior Labor ministers put up a post in regard to Pakistan, I think Federation Day or something like that, but then failed to acknowledge Australia Day, and that really was very surprising. Well, I guess it wasn't surprising, but that they're so blatant about it. But good to see in your policy, and it's quite brave to have that there.
Yeah, well, I think, Mark, we've got to say that Australia is a good country. It's not a perfect country. We've got lots of things we've done wrong, lots of things we do wrong and will continue to do wrong, because that's we're made up of imperfect people. But the comparator of Australia isn't a perfect country. The comparator is the rest of the world. And I reckon there's a pretty good argument that there aren't many countries that are doing it better, if any. So I think we've got to celebrate Australia. I mean, what's happened? I'm a migrant. We came here in 1971, and I've been accepted in this country. And I've had a privileged position in the sense that I can say that I have never experienced any actual racism in this country. Sure, on the rugby field, somebody may have said something, or in the schoolyard, but I stood up for myself. I was playing hockey once in the country. Somebody said something. I walked off the pitch and put a hockey stick in their face, and that was dealt with. Okay, so, but what has been achieved is a remarkable thing. I mean, from the First Fleet to now, we've built a thriving country where there are freedoms for people to express all sorts of views, including views about the problems in the country and people who want to call it Invasion Day, etc. Now, that's a good thing that has happened in this, and we have to celebrate that good thing. And I think the tide is turning, because last week there was a poll saying that 70% of Australians want to retain Australia Day, and that's good, because the First Fleet itself was a remarkable achievement. They looked after those prisoners so well that the prisoners landed in Botany Bay or Port Jackson, wherever they landed, in better condition than when they left England. And we created an egalitarian country out of a country which had a significant class system. That's a remarkable achievement. So let's acknowledge where we've gone wrong, and we have, but let's celebrate the remarkable achievement that Australia is. So that's why we want to advance Australia Day and support the promotion of the virtues that are key to Australia.
Yeah, and it's a big one to put in there about the type of migrants that we do accept in this country. And I don't think it's unreasonable for any country to say these are our standards, and when you come here you accept that. It should be a privilege to come here. I know my parents are migrants, they adopted it, they worked hard, they contributed, but they considered themselves very blessed to have Australia home. And obviously myself and my brothers were born here, so we're first generation. My parents were migrants, and I don't know any other home than Australia. My children and my grandchildren are born here now, and it's about advancing it for the betterment of all of us. But again, it's like there seems to be a deliberate divisionary manipulation going on in a lot of areas in our life, and it's just being able to have set standards to say this is what we accept as a country going forward, to unify. But it doesn't seem to have come from the major parties in that regard, and it really needs some, Australians need proper direction from proper leaders.
That's right, and we need to go no further than our constitution, as I said at the start, to espouse those virtues that are built into our constitution. And if you're not going to play in that game, then you can't play in this team. That's just the way it is. If you don't want to wear the Port Adelaide colours, don't go and train at Port Adelaide. So if you can't be a part of a culture that says we're all equal, and that we all have the right to freedom of religion and freedom to proselytize freely without fear, freedom of expression, freedom of association, thought, conscience and belief, etc., then you can't be a part of this country.